Hare Krishna. So I'm grateful to be here with all of you today morning. And so there's a book that you have. If you don't have, we'll keep a copy. So you can go to page 64 in that book. So we'll read something from this book and discuss. So basically, I have been writing on the Bhagavad Gita now for almost 15 years. Every day I've been writing one article. I've written more than 5,000 articles on gitadaily.com. But since the start of this year, I felt that I was writing a lot of analytical articles, but the devotional connect was not so much. So that's how I felt inspired to explore a different way of writing. And I found that many of our Acharya's prayers are as if inspired by the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, for example, says that this material world is a vast ocean and I will deliver you from that ocean. Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat. And from Mukundmala Sutra, Kulshekar Maharaj is praying that samsara sagar nimagna mananta deenam uddharatu marhasi hare purushottamosmi. That he is saying that, oh dear Lord, this ocean of material existence is unsurpassable. You, O Lord, please, it behooves you to lift me from this ocean. Why does it behoove you? Because you have promised this in the Gita. So in that sense, we can say the Gita is Krishna's words to us. But what we can do is, if we have prayers inspired by the Gita, that Krishna, please help me to understand and apply your words. So in that way, the Gita can become not just an intellectual study, but also a devotional call to Krishna based on the verses. So normally, we can have two different kinds of prayers. We have scriptural prayers. I'll talk about this theme as we move into the topic also. Scriptural prayers are, we have our Mangalarti, we have Vaishnava songs, and these are very uplifting. But sometimes what is being talked about in those prayers, we may feel that the scriptural prayers, is this on by the way? Is the recording is on? Mine also. Okay. The scriptural prayers, we may feel that they don't really connect with our heart. So then we can have our personal prayers. That means what is our situation? What are our challenges? Based on that, we may offer prayers. So now, sometimes the scriptural prayers may seem a little bit disconnected for us. They may seem too abstract or too lofty for us. On the other hand, our personal prayers can become a bit sentimental, where if it is not grounded in scripture, then what are we praying? Are we really praying rightly? So what these prayers I try to do is that from scripture to personal. So we are taking scriptural verses and from there we are trying to have personal prayers. So in this book I have taken some key verses from the Bhagavad Gita's first 6 chapters. So there are 122 prayers like that. And then I hope to do 2 more books like this. So there will be 366 prayers based on the Gita. So with this context, let's look at the prayer. So in each of these prayers, there is a book you have, and I'm also going to display it over here. So what I have done is we have a picture of a beautiful deity of Krishna. Then there is a 1-sentence prayer summary, which is like a spiritual affirmation. Then I have taken the Gita's verses and have translated them into English poetry. And then there is a 1-sentence or a 1-page prayer on the right side. So let us try to read it. If you like, you can repeat me. We can repeat the spiritual affirmation. Bless me, O Lord, to be a spiritual fruit, not a religious nut. This is a prayer you can't stop laughing after hearing it. Okay, so let's recite the verse. Yavan artha udapane सर्वतः संप्लुतोदके Tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Once more. Yavanartha udapane sarvatah samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. So this is the poetic translation I have tried to do for it. For one who knows the truth so deep, from him Vedic rites can no secret keep. As a well holds worth in a land run dry, its value fades when rivers flow far and high. It's a beautiful metaphor which Krishna is using, and he's talking about the Vedas have many rituals. So the idea is that people who stick to rituals, they can become religious nuts, they can become fanatical at times. But those who understand that each ritual is like a well which supplies a particular need. But the understanding the essence of the Vedic scripture, that's like a flowing river. If you understand that, then the specific wells and the specifics of the Vedic rituals may no longer be needed. So, can we have I request different devotees to read one paragraph. Would anyone like to read the first paragraph?
My dear Lord, help me to gain a balanced understanding of the role of rituals in my spiritual journey. Let me not fall into the category of those who overvalue rituals, who equate excellence in the technical details of rituals as the very essence of transcendence. When I fall into that category, I become caught in pettiness, thinking that my rituals make me superior to those who don't follow them, or those who don't observe them in the exact same way that I do. I don't want to be one of the world's many religious nuts, whose self-righteousness only increases the world's hardships.
Yes. So, broadly, the session I'll take will be in 3 parts. I'll use the acronym CHIT. CHIT refers to consciousness. So we'll try to expand our consciousness. First, I'll talk about the concept, what we are discussing. Then we'll discuss some insights on the concept. And then finally, we'll talk about some takeaways for us. So the concept we are discussing is the role of rituals. Now, when we use the word rituals, what does the word ritual mean to you? Both in a negative sense or a positive sense. Any thoughts? What does the word ritual mean to you? Yes. You can just, okay.
Just do it.
Okay, just do it. So whenever you answer, can you just tell your name and then you can answer? Yes, sir. Sorry? Rasakalpatra, okay. So just do it. So when you say just do it means, are you saying it in an impulsive sense or a thoughtless sense or what does just do it mean?
Yeah, so without dwelling too much into details, because it is kind of a negative, I'm saying,
okay.
Negative sense.
Okay, in my mind, just do it is I think the slogan of Nike, isn't it? Their market, just do it. So, okay, just do it means the negative connotation is that we are told to do it, and especially this is used with the adjective ritualistic. No, why are you being so ritualistic? That's a negative connotation of the word, yes. So many people don't like rituals. Any other meanings?
My name is Madhava Vahini. Rules, I think rules, and I think rituals.
So rituals, okay, rules. So is that let's keep it a neutral connotation. It can be positive, negative, both. So rules. So rules can be about many aspects of behavior, but rituals are maybe specific ways of worshipping or doing something which is considered sacred or traditional. But yes, they are ways of prescribed behavior for us. That is rules. Yes, thank you. Anything else? Yes? Yeah.
superficial and external?
Yes, rituals can be, they can be superficial. So it is just something which is being done and person is not involved in it. Yes, thank you. Anything else? Sorry?
My name is Maggie.
Maggie, yeah.
I'm thinking about discipline.
Sorry, a little loudly.
Discipline.
Okay, so you're talking about positive connotation now. So rituals can be discipline. Actually, increasingly this word is gaining a positive connotation now. Like there are like some people, the CEO of a big company may say, these are my 3 morning rituals. Or they say, I journal every day. That is a ritual. They even say the word religious may have a negative connotation, but the word religiously has a positive connotation. I religiously do it. That means what? I do it with regularity, with discipline. So, like that, the word monk has become very positive now. Like sometimes if you are doing something without any distractions, they say, like the person was functioning in monk mood. So the word, sometimes words have different connotations like that. So yeah, it has a positive connotation of discipline. Yes, thank you. Anything else? Yeah?
Shiva Namaste does.
Hmm.
There's a series of activities that we perform to condition our consciousness in a particular way.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. So it's rituals are activities to condition consciousness. Now, when you are using the word condition, are you using it in a positive sense or negative sense?
Could be either.
Okay. So activities to, let's condition. In ISKCON, generally we use the word condition in negative sense. So let's to shape consciousness, we can say. So activities to shape consciousness. That's a good point. Yes. Yes, please.
Modern Gopal Das, this is in a negative context, passed down tradition, like
Yeah. So you could say that they are often relics from the past.
yeah, like the family, parents told me to do it.
Yes. So this is what I was told to do. And I don't want to do it. People may rebel against the rituals. Yes. Okay. So, thank you. It's quite a good amount of thought. Now, if you consider from our perspective, do we have rituals in Krishna consciousness? Do we have rituals on the path of bhakti? Yes. What would be rituals for us, for example? Yeah?
Chanting 16 rounds.
Yeah, chanting 16 rounds could be a ritual. Anything else?
Good fasting.
Fasting could also be a ritual, especially say on Ekadashi we fast. That's interesting. It's a regularly done activity. So it will be called a ritual. Yes. Anything else?
Attending Mangala Arati.
Yeah, attending Mangala Arati could be a ritual. You could say maybe the way we do Arati specifically, that could be a ritual. So we do also have rituals in Krishna consciousness. Now I'll just talk about rituals from let's try to understand this concept a little bit more. That broadly one characteristic of rituals which probably we could add is that repetition. Isn't it? If something is a ritual, then we do it repeatedly. It could be daily, it could be weekly, but something is a ritual means there is a repetition involved in it. So now, in a bit technical sense of the word, if we consider repeated activity, there could be a spectrum in this. That at the bottom of repeated activities, there are what we could call as routines. And the top of that spectrum are rituals. So our routines could be, say, every day we have to bathe. If we are at home, we have to do our laundry, we have to do our dishes. Now these are routines. Now the difference between routines and rituals is that the point of rituals is simply to get the thing done. Hmm? It is something which I, functionally speaking, I have to do. From a positive perspective, when we talk about rituals, the point of rituals is actually to get the experience. The point of the ritual is not just to get the thing done. So, if we are coming for Mangalarti, if we are doing the Arti, for example, then the point is not just to get it done, isn't it? The point is that while doing it, we have an opportunity in a structured way to connect our consciousness with Krishna. And we get an experience. So what is the difference between get the thing done and get the experience? In get the thing done, there can be low consciousness involved or invested. So for example, if we are doing our dishes, now we don't have to pay 100% attention to doing the dishes. We could be hearing a talk, we could be chatting with someone, we may make phone calls. So there, the full investment of consciousness is not required. We need to get the thing done. But the whole point of the ritual is that there is high investment of consciousness. That's the meaning of getting an experience. So if we, for example, tell somebody to take 3 deep breaths, the whole point of taking 3 deep breaths is what? Okay, slow down. Your mind is racing here and there. Take 3 deep breaths. The point is to get the experience, to remember that our breath is sustaining us and that there is a bigger reality beyond whatever our mind is agitated by. But if somebody says, take 3 deep breaths, you just take 3 deep breaths. No, that is one kind of pranayam called Kapalabhati. That is not really going to give you the experience, isn't it? So the point of rituals is to get the experience. So now when we want an experience, sometimes there can be a structure to the activity that will give us that experience. So for example, if we come in front of the deities, now we want to remind ourselves, there is a Lord over here. And then, the Lord is my master, I am meant to serve Him. And therefore, let me offer my respects to the Lord. And the way we offer respects is by bowing down to the Lord. So the idea is, ritual, it is like you said, activities to shape consciousness. You could say it is also a structure to give an experience. Or you could also say to convey an emotion, to activate an emotion. Say, when we meet someone, we may shake hands. Now, shaking hands is a ritual. But the idea is that we convey greeting, we convey warmth through that ritual. So, if we didn't have that ritual, we wanted to greet someone, okay, we say, hi, hello, Hare Krishna, something we have to say. If we don't have any way, say, if you are from a different culture and I am from a different culture, and you may greet in your way, and if I don't understand your greeting, and I may greet in my way, and I may not understand the greeting. Now, in the West, we use the word hi. Now, actually speaking in Hindi, the word hi means alas. Oh, it's a statement of lamentation. Hi, ye kya ho gaya? What happened? Now, if somebody doesn't know, when you say hi, that actually it is a form of greeting. You say, alas, what do you mean? You're feeling so bad that you saw me? So, when there is a structure to rituals, that there is a structure to give an experience and to express emotion. I'm happy to see you. So we convey that by saying hi. So without that structure, things can become problematic. So hi, this can be greeting, but this can also, at least in Hindi, it means alas. You all probably have examples of certain forms of greeting that mean quite opposite in another language. So rituals are meant to provide us experience, to help us express our emotion. So in that sense, rituals are important. But we could say that, say, if I am here and if, say, Krishna is here, then now the ritual is meant to be a link. Ritual is meant to do things. At one side, it is meant to express my emotion. Express the emotion that, Krishna, when I come before you, I want to offer my respects to you. And then it is meant to get or experience, or you could say facilitate or aid experience. How do we facilitate the experience? That, okay, when we bow down, we are reminded that this is God, this is a supremely respectable person for me. And when we are reminded that, then we get that experience. Okay. So in one sense, ritual serves these two purposes. That it expresses emotion to the other person and it gives experience to us. So this is the broad concept of a ritual. Okay. Now, with this concept, let's move forward to our discussion. The acronym was CHIT. Does anyone remember what was the I? Insights, yes. So we will try to discuss broadly two extremes. We say rituals in bhakti or in spirituality in general. We could go towards two extremes. One is we may overvalue the rituals, and the other is we may devalue the rituals. So, when we overvalue the rituals, that means that we start thinking that just doing the ritual right is the most important thing. And if I have done the ritual right, then I have done everything right. So, for example, if we are doing Tulsi Aarti, I was, a few years ago, I was in a temple in India. After the morning program, after the morning chanting session, before the Darshanarti, one young man came to me and he said, "Today my entire chanting was spoiled. I just couldn't focus on the holy name. And it was because of that person." I said, "Interesting. Okay, what did that person do?" He said, did he insult you in some way? Did he disrespect you in some way? He said, "No. When he was doing today Tulsi Aarti, while doing the Aarti, instead of moving the diya 7 times, he moved it 10 times. And that is an offense to Tulsi Devi. And he offended Tulsi Devi, and that's why I'm agitated." No, I was thinking, what were you doing counting how many times he was moving the lamp, isn't it? So for some people, the specific of the ritual can become super important. And if that becomes super important, then they think if I do it right, I am such a good devotee, I am such a serious spiritualist. And if I don't do it right, or if somebody else does not do it right, then it's completely off. It's terrible. It's something which is disastrous. So every religious tradition has its rituals, and they can be sometimes overemphasized. So for example, in Christianity, especially in the Protestant tradition, there is the idea of baptism. And some people may baptize by sprinkling water, some people may baptize by dipping in water, or putting the head in water, or immersing yourself completely in water. Now one tradition may say that the way the other tradition, the other sect, the other denomination baptizes, that is not right. And if you do the baptism in that way, you are not baptized at all. And if you do the baptism in this way, then you are baptized. So now, okay, the ritual is important. But is it the most important thing? When that becomes the sole basis of determining one's spirituality, then one can become very narrow-minded. One can become very fanatical. So, once a person was in California, was on a beach, probably an apocryphal story, but he was not on the beach, he was on a bridge. He was about to jump off the bridge and end his life. And from the other end of a bridge, another young man was walking. Hey, stop, don't jump off. He says, why should I not jump? He said, okay, why do you want to jump off? He says, no one loves me. No one cares for me. This person walking close, slowly, gently, he said, but Jesus loves you. Oh, this person stopped. Oh, are you a Christian? He said, yes. And what about you? He said, I'm also a Christian. This person walking. Okay, which Christian are you? A Catholic or a Protestant? So this person on the bridge was about to jump off. He said, I'm a Protestant. Oh, okay, which Protestant are you? He says, I'm a Baptist. Oh, wonderful, I'm also a Baptist. Okay, which Baptist are you? He says, I'm a Southern Baptist. Oh, wonderful, I'm also a Southern Baptist. Oh, which Southern Baptist are you? He says, I am a Reformed Southern Baptist. Jump down and die, you heathen, you pagan. So, the idea is sometimes people can make small things into very big. It is not just something we are not making fun of Christianity over here. It can happen everywhere. I do some online outreach. I have a couple of websites. I've been doing it for many years. So one devotee who was in one city in India, he got connected. I told him he can go to the local devotee community and practice bhakti over there. Or connect to practice bhakti. So then I was doing a retreat in the Govardhan Eco Village, and he came there. So when he came there, I asked him, so are you connected with local temple? He said that we don't have a temple in our city, but there are 2 devotee communities. And I went there, and he says, both of them are fighting with each other. I said, okay. Now, this is not uncommon. People have conflicts. He says, what are they fighting over? He says, both of them are householder communities, but on weekends, they come together in a hall and they do Mangalarti. And one group does Mangalarti at 4:30. The other group does Mangalarti at 5 o'clock. So, the 4:30 group, they say that Prabhupada said Mangalarti means 4:30. If you are not doing Mangalarti at 4:30, you are doing it at 5 o'clock. That means you are not following Prabhupada. You are deviating from Prabhupada. And the word Mangalarti means the auspicious worship. Mangal is auspicious. I said, because you are deviating from Prabhupada, this is not Mangalarti, it is a Mangalarti. It is inauspicious. And Krishna will not accept that worship. How do you know what Krishna thinks? And are you like the super soul of the super soul? To know what the super soul is thinking. Isn't it? So, this is where a ritual can be overemphasized. And then that can make a person, when we overvalue rituals, we can become judgmental. Not only judgmental, we can even become fanatical. So, when we become fanatical, in America, the middle and southern part of America is called the Bible Belt. And there are often very evangelical Christians over there who are a bit pushy. So once I was going for a program, and in front of me there was a car. And on the car, it had a bumper sticker which said, "Oh God, please save me from your preachers." Normally God saves us through his preachers, isn't it? But if the preachers are very pushy, judgmental, hell and brimstone kind of things, then I don't want anything to do with these people. So that can become very judgmental. So we may overvalue rituals. And this can happen. This is a danger for anyone in their life. So let's move to the next part. Let's look at how we may go to the other extreme. Who would like to read the next paragraph?
lest me to avoid recoiling to the other extreme, where I join the ranks of those who devalue rituals entirely, dismissing them as superstitions or pointless relics from a bygone age. Even when such people want to be spiritual, their rejection of all rituals leaves them bankrupt of any aids to tangibly progress on the spiritual path.
Yes. So the other extreme is that we may devalue rituals. Now, when we devalue rituals, what happens by that is, as I said, rituals are a structure to give us an experience. Now, if we don't have that structure, then we may think, I want to be spiritual, but okay, but how am I spiritual? There is a whole group of people who call themselves as SBNR. Have you heard this word? Yeah? What is it? Yes, you may not have heard the acronym, but the spiritual but not religious. Now often these people are put off by two things. They say, I don't want any rituals because they feel they're mindless. And they also feel, I don't want any dogmas. That this is what you have to believe, this is what you have to believe. So they are put off by that. Now what do they want is, they do want some experiences. I want to feel good, I want to be open-minded, I want to experience something higher. So in intent, that is good. They want to be spiritual, and they associate religion with narrow-mindedness, with intolerance, with dogmas, and wanting to avoid all that is good. But the problem is that if we want to get some experience regularly, people say, I went to that place and I had a spiritual experience, or I was sitting in under this tree and I had a spiritual experience, or I was with this particular person and the experience was so spiritual. Now all that is nice if we get that spiritual experience. But for us, we want to have some means by which we can get an experience regularly. And for that, we need some activity that can be done repeatedly. So if somebody says, I will have no rituals. Now, okay, then how are you going to get a spiritual experience? So the idea is that some people they may encounter people who are doing rituals blindly, dogmatically, judgmentally, and they may recoil because of that. But the point is, if there are no rituals, then there is no structure for shaping our consciousness so that we can get an experience. And then we can, if we completely devalue rituals, then we almost become pathless. Pathless means, okay, what am I supposed to do over here? And our spirituality can become very sporadic. One day I feel spiritual, next day I don't feel anything at all. And if I don't feel spiritual, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So it becomes very, very sporadic. So can there be things coming from the past that are that are just blind and ritualistic? That's possible. Now people may say, like you said, chanting is a ritual. Yeah, it is a ritual. But if done attentively, the holy name helps us. The holy name is Krishna. Even if you don't realize the holy name is Krishna at present, at least the holy name is a means by which we can remember Krishna. It means by which we can at least direct our consciousness towards something higher. So we need a pathway. Okay, how do I direct my consciousness? What do I do with my body, with my mind? So one principle in ritual is that, say, if this is the material domain, and this is the spiritual domain. So the material domain is where we are existing. Material domain means we have a body, we have a mind. And in the spiritual domain, at the top of the spiritual domain, Krishna is existing. So now, if we are here, we may want to become spiritual, but it is very difficult for us to just leave the material domain and become spiritual. It is normally that we go through the material to the spiritual. What do we mean by we go through the material to the spiritual? Say, like consider chanting. Now, if we chant in our mind, is it possible to do it? It's possible. But it's very easy to get distracted by it. If the sound of the holy name is coming through our mind, coming through our mouth, and then going to the ear, what are we doing? We are going through the material to the spiritual. We are going through our physical senses to the spiritual domain. And then it's relatively easier to do it. Uh, it's relatively easier to evaluate whether we are doing it, how much we have done it. We are chanting in the mind. Okay, how much have we chanted in the mind? We may start chanting and the mind may wander off, and then we not only forget to chant, but we also forget that we have forgotten to chant. Isn't it? So it's easier to go through the material to the spiritual. So rituals means, for example, we put tilak on our forehead. It's a ritual. But then, now we could say the ritual has a deeper significance, and that's true, but it's a way of reminding ourselves that we are the servants of the Lord. So it's a ritual. The ritual is meant to give us an experience. Now, can somebody be a devotee without wearing a tilak? Of course. But then, this external marker, it is not just for the world. People know that we are devotees, but it's also for us. Okay, I am practicing bhakti. We wear kantimala. That's a ritual. But the ritual is we reshape our physical environment, or we say we do something with our body, on our body, by which we remind ourselves of our spirituality. So we go through the material to the spiritual. So if we devalue rituals, then what happens is we don't get this way at all. We say, I'll just leave it. There's nothing for me to do. I'll automatically feel spiritual. So this is where we are devaluing rituals. Now, the other extreme could be that, say, if somebody else is over here, and now we do the ritual only to show others how we are doing the ritual. We are not doing it to actually reach Krishna. So here, we may overvalue the ritual. So for example, if we sit and chant together, we are sitting with others and we sit very erect and we utter every mantra clearly. And the point is, I want everyone else to see what a good devotee I am. And they're constantly chanting and they're looking at everyone. Are people noticing? How seriously I'm chanting? And they don't miss anyone in the room except Krishna. So sometimes, say when we meet devotees, we offer obeisances to each other. We offer respects. If somebody comes to a temple, and if they're a very senior devotee, instead of thinking that I have to offer obeisances to Krishna, they come and all that they see is who all is offering obeisances to me and who all is not offering obeisances to. So what happens? Instead of the ritual reminding me of Krishna or connecting with me Krishna, the ritual just becomes a largely social thing. So where the spiritual becomes left aside. So that way we may overvalue rituals or we may devalue rituals. Okay, we want to avoid both these extremes. So let's move forward now to who would like to read the next paragraph?
Helping our Lord to approach rituals intelligently as valuable and even vital means for spiritual growth. Let me always remember that the fruit of such spiritual growth is a heart that is humble and compassionate, not an ego that is self-righteous and judgmental. Bless me, my Lord, to become such a spiritual fruit, one who relishes and radiates the divine joy that comes from an authentic connection with you, the source of the ultimate joy.
Yes. So I'll make 2 more points and then we'll open for question answers. But one more point in the insight. In some ways, science and spirituality are similar. So science broadly has 2 aspects. There is the theory of science and then there is the experiment that is done. Now, after the experiment is done, that experiment leads to technology. So, what do I mean by theory? So, for example, Newton saw an apple falling, or some people say, he felt an apple falling on his head. He thought, why did the apple fall? That's because of gravity. He postulated that. And then the experiments were done. Experiments, okay, does any other object fall? Does it fall only in UK? Does it fall in France? Does it fall in Australia? Does it fall in India? And then, based on that, the technology was developed. Now, most of our vehicles, they use the principles of gravity, the laws of motion. So, when the theory is translated into a way that everybody can understand and access, that's when it becomes a technology. Now, when it becomes a technology, the people who use the technology may not know the theory at all. So, we could say in terms of number of people who know the theory are few. People who do the experiment, maybe a little more. Sometimes people can do experiment. You have a lab assistant who does an experiment. They are paid to do it. They don't even know what they are doing, but do this and see what is the result. The people who use the technology may be far, far more. We all use the internet. How many of us know how the internet works? Nowadays we are all using ChatGPT and AI. How many of us actually understand how AI works? Isn't it? But we are all using it. So same way in spirituality, there is philosophy. The philosophy is the more intellectual part of spirituality. It's like the theory in science. So now, the philosophy itself is a postulate. It's like a theory that actually we have a core that is non-physical, that is spiritual, that is the soul. There is an ultimate divine reality beyond this world and underlying this world also. That's God, that's Krishna, that's philosophy. It's making postulates. But then there has to be practice. The practice is like the experiment. What are the practices that I can do by which I can realize the philosophy? I can verify the philosophy. Is it really true? If there is a soul that is the core of my being, then if that soul is nourished, I should feel better. I should feel I should feel more content. I should feel more fulfilled. Is that happening? So that's a practice. Now, over time, when the practice becomes codified, it becomes systematized, the practice can become religion. Now, within religion, we can have culture, we can have tradition, but broadly, religion has a lot of rituals. So, with Krishna says, this broad thing is based on 9.2 in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartumavyam. This is the king of knowledge, Krishna says, but it will also give you experience. Pratyakshaavagamam Dharmyam. So the practice is meant to give us experience. Now within the practice, when the practice becomes codified. So now going back to the same point over here, number of people who know the philosophy are going to be very few. The number of people who practice the religion, who follow the culture, who are a part of a particular tradition, that may be fairly large. So in that sense, we have to consider that what is the reason for doing something? How does this thing actually work? If my phone stops working, then I cannot fix it myself. But there has to be someone who knows how the phone works and they should be able to fix it. So like that, many people may adopt the culture. Many people may join a religion. And accordingly, they will start practicing certain rituals. But why they are practicing the rituals is very important to understand. And once we understand that, so what is the point of the rituals? The point is to get the experience. So philosophy says there is an ultimate reality Krishna, and connecting with that ultimate reality Krishna is what will make us happy in life. So then, if we remember this, then whatever practice we are doing, we will do it mindfully, we will do it purposefully. Is this bringing me closer to Krishna? So, without the awareness of philosophy, the culture, the religion, the ritual, it can be done ritualistically, or it can also be misused. It can be misused. So, for example, religion teaches us humility. All religions teach us that. But that humility can sometimes be weaponized by power-hungry people. Somebody, if they say, I am the religious authority and you have to be submissive to me. And then that person may not actually be taking them closer to God. That person may just be dominating them and exploiting them. So the purpose of humility, Trunadapi Suni Chena, we sing that every day. But what is the purpose of Trunadapi Suni Chena? Ultimately it is Kirtaniya Sadahari. We should be able to glorify Krishna constantly. So the idea is that if rituals alone are done without understanding the bigger picture, things can go wrong. So for us, we need to find this balance between these two, that we need to value rituals. Don't devalue them, don't overvalue them, but learn to value them. So that is the last part I'll talk. Now, what does valuing rituals mean? That's the takeaway. The takeaway is ultimately that if we consider Krishna is the supreme reality, and we all as spiritualists, as devotees, want to reach Krishna. But the point is, different people come to Krishna from different directions. And when different people come to Krishna from different directions, it is when they find a path to Krishna, then that they become very convinced about that path. So, for example, especially see from the Indian perspective, for many Indians, Sanskrit is a language they may not know, they may not speak it, but they are familiar with it. And for them, reading the Sanskrit text, memorizing Sanskrit verses, quoting Sanskrit verses, they may feel very close to Krishna by that. In India now, Gita Jayanti is become a very big festival where devotees come and recite all the 700 verses of the Gita. Now they do it very diligently. Now how many of them understand it? Many may not understand it. But does that mean they are just doing it ritualistically, mundanely? To actually feel close to Krishna. Many people who they make a vrata, a resolution that I'll sit down for 1.5, 2, 3 hours, whatever it takes. I'll just sit down, not going to get up. I'm not going to drink a sip of water. I'm just going to recite the full Gita. Now that's a ritual, but that ritual helps them come closer to Krishna. So I told about that devotee, he said, when we are doing Aarti, that, he said, we have to move the diya, we have to move the lamp this many times. Now doing that ritual precisely may help that person feel that I am coming closer to Krishna. Now for some other people, memorizing verses is good, but what is important is understanding the meaning, analyzing the meaning, getting it, how does this verse matter to me? How can I apply it in my life? How can I share its meaning with others so that they can also get it? So for them, the memorization may not be that as important as the insight. And for somebody else, in bhakti, for example, so some devotees they may feel that you have to distribute books. And by distributing books, you are sharing Krishna's message. You are bringing people closer to Krishna. And the more books they distribute, it's not just that we are earning money, it's not just we are being praised by the community for doing it. We actually feel closer to Krishna by doing that activity. For somebody else, they may say, we want to build a grand temple for Krishna. And I've seen people, especially when they take that as, especially Indians again, Hindus, they decide to build a temple. Sometimes people are ready to, they sell their home so that, and they may live in a small room or whatever, and they sacrifice their whole life savings for building a temple. And by doing that, they feel that they are closer to Krishna. So Krishna, the takeaway is that I may have the way I feel closer to Krishna. And if I feel closer to Krishna that way, I need to cherish that. I need to value that. Because that is the way I come closer to Krishna. Now within bhakti also, some devotees may fast very diligently on particular days. And by fasting, they may feel very close to Krishna. And that's wonderful. Now some other devotees may find that biologically they are not suited for fasting. Their mind, they get acidity and they feel very agitated. And they just become dysfunctional. They may say, okay, I have to take some meal and I'll continue service. So now, for them, fasting may not bring them so close to Krishna. Some people hold fast to the determination to fast. Some people let go of the determination to fast. They soon give up the determination. Now, it is for them, they may find something else that they can hold on to. So, can fasting be a ritual? Yes, it is a ritual. Can it take us closer to Krishna? Yes, it can take us closer to Krishna. But can that ritual be overvalued? It's possible. Say, suppose somebody fasts without water also on Ekadashi. And when they are fasting without water, they are constantly going to the kitchen to see who is eating what. And I think this person, no sense control. This person so attached. This is a complete glutton. Now, their body may be fasting, but their ego is feasting. And such fasting will not take them closer to Krishna. So, the point is that for us, ritual should not become a way of proving our superiority over others or proving our greatness to others. Ritual should not just become something social. Ritual has to be spiritual. When ritual is a way of going closer to Krishna, it is spiritual. When ritual is simply a way of showing others how good I am, it becomes social. So, many times when people become sectarian, people become dogmatic, or people become judgmental or intolerant. For them, their idea is that this is what you should be doing. If you're not doing this, you are a bad person. You're not a good devotee. You are bad. You are a weak. You are unserious. So, we need to respect that different people may be able to connect with Krishna in different ways. That for some devotees, reading scripture every day without fail, that is the way they feel connect with Krishna. Now, everybody should read Shastra. But that may be, for others, it might just be a duty, okay, I have to do it. For some people, it may, this is the way I feel closest to Krishna. So then, that is their way of connecting with Krishna. So the ritual, is it giving me a spiritual experience? And some rituals may give me that spiritual experience more and more, and I do those more diligently. Somebody else may not necessarily do that particular ritual that diligently, but they also may have some other way they connect with Krishna. And for them, that is the way they get strength. So, what should not happen? So, the takeaway for us is, am I coming closer to Krishna through the ritual, or am I simply trying to show others how great a devotee I am? So, if the ritual is spiritual, is the last point, the ritual is about improving our own consciousness, improving our own inner samskaras, changing our consciousness, improving ourselves. Then if it is about improving ourselves, then it is spiritual. But if the ritual becomes about proving ourselves, proving that I am better than you, proving that you are not a good person, you are not a good devotee, I am a good devotee, then the ritual simply becomes a social thing without any spirituality. So, if we keep this in mind, then if we seek ritual simply as a means of proving our social superiority, we will end up becoming a religious nut, where we will become judgmental and we will become look down and demean those who are not doing the same things. But if we focus on on improving, then our ritual, it will make us a spiritual fruit. Okay, that means we will be ourselves nourished and we will be able to share that joy of our spirituality with others. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. Our discussion was on the topic of rituals in bhakti. And I talked about 3 broad points. CIT. What was C? Concept. So the concept is that rituals, they are structures for experience. Structures. So what are the structures for? We discussed this example that if I am here and if Krishna is here, then we need to go through our body-mind machine to get to Krishna. Going this way is very rare. It is much easier for us to use our body-mind machine to get to Krishna. And when we want to reach Krishna, then rituals do 2 things. Rituals, they help us to express emotion. Just like a handshake helps us to express cordiality, greeting. And similarly, when we come down to Krishna, it helps us to express our emotion. And then, based on that, we gain experience, or a ritual facilitates experience. So the point of the ritual is, we want to raise our consciousness, transform our consciousness, we gain experience. So rituals are structures for experience, we could say. And in that sense, we discussed the difference between routines, where they're just to get the thing done. Rituals are to get the experience. So consciousness invested in rituals can be low. In routines it is low. In rituals it has to be high. Then in the insight, I discussed about 2 main points. That rituals, we may overvalue them or we may devalue them. If we overvalue, we become 2 things, judgmental and fanatical. We want to avoid that. If we devalue them, then what happens? We become sentimental. Our spiritual practice, we become overall sentimental, and our spiritual practice becomes sporadic. So we want to value them as means to gain a spiritual experience. And for valuing them, we discussed, what was it? That spirituality is like science. It's a science has theory and experiment. Spirituality has philosophy, which is like the theory and science, and then there is the practice. And just as in science, the experiment becomes codified as technology, it becomes codified as, the practice becomes codified as rituals. So rituals may be a part of religion, culture, tradition, but so when the rituals are done with the right understanding, why am I doing this? Then the rituals will help us come closer to Krishna. So if you consider Krishna, different people will approach Krishna in different ways. So there can be different activities give strength to different devotees or different seekers. And we respect that. The point is, rituals, if it is the takeaway was that rituals should be able to take us closer to Krishna. Not that ritual makes me feel superior to others. So if the ritual is about proving that I am better than you, that will make us a religious nut. But if the ritual is about improving ourselves, then that will help us to become like a spiritual fruit. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you, Shubhu. I was just wondering, how does this, does it make you think of the word Yamagraha from the link to destruction? So how would you relate this?
Excellent. I was happy that you connected with that. And Niyamagraha goes both ways. Niyamagraha is, as we know, the Niyam Agraha. Niyama is the rule. So Niyamagraha can mean that I reject the rule, Agraha, or I insist on the rule. So that insist is like overvaluing. That means I am doing the ritual, but I am actually not fulfilling the purpose of the ritual of connecting with Krishna. And when I reject the ritual itself, that is like devaluing. So it's very much a part of our tradition, the 6 things that can destroy our bhakti. One of them is Niyamagraha. So often this is a source of much conflict among devotees. Because different devotees or different even leaders in our movement may emphasize different things. And when we emphasize different things, if they start thinking about what I am emphasizing is the only way you can connect with Krishna, then it becomes a problem. This is an important theme. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, I'll elaborate on this question a little bit more. Okay, I'll have one question. Okay, we'll have time. So basically, this Niyamagraha, we have all heard this word liberals and conservatives, isn't it? So what happens if we consider this is a living movement? So we may call it ISKCON, we may call it the Launch, we may call it Voice, there are different names used for it. Now this living movement needs to be connected with the past tradition. So the tradition comes from the past, and the tradition is going on from the past. So the living movement needs to be connected with the tradition. Okay. This is the tradition. Now the tradition is in the contemporary world. The world today. So the contemporary world is, so we need to be connected with the contemporary world also. So in general, the conservatives are concerned that we stay connected with the past. And that's important. And this requires, so among conservatives, the defining virtue is faithfulness. This is how it was done, and this is how we should keep doing it. Now that is important, but now the liberals are concerned with that we stay connected with the contemporary world. And now for that, what we need is not so much faithfulness as resourcefulness. So the liberals are more concerned about we should be relevant, we should connect with people and their needs, their concerns. So consider when the pandemic happened, most of our movement was shut down. The world was on lockdown. Now at that time we were having so many Zoom classes. Now if somebody asked, okay, where is the scriptural praman of Shukdev Goswami giving a class on Zoom? Unless you can show from scripture an example of anybody doing a Zoom class, all Zoom classes are Maya. And it is a deviation from Prabhupada. Prabhupada never gave a Zoom class, we have to follow Prabhupada. Now, if we had insisted on the letter at the cost of the spirit, we would have lost so many devotees. So many of us were nourished through Zoom classes, isn't it? So we have to be resourceful. Resourceful means what? We consider, as in Sanskrit, Desha, Kala, Patra. Time, place and candidate. So Prabhupada would use the words that there are principles and there are details. The details can be adjusted. In fact, the details need to be adjusted. So now that is important. At the same time, we have to be faithful. Somebody says, okay, as devotees, we also need to develop our career, we need to develop our personality. So instead of studying the Bhagavad Gita, we should study 7 habits of highly effective people. And our morning classes will be on 7 habits. How? Then what will happen is we will now can say the 7 habits or some books like that, can they have something useful? Maybe they have something useful. But if we are studying that, then we are Stephen Covey followers. We are not Krishna followers. Isn't it? So we have to also be faithful. Faithfulness is what keeps us connected with the tradition. So from this perspective, the same two extremes. If we are only faithful and not resourceful, then what will happen? We will become ultra conservative. We will become irrelevant. We will become like a museum exhibit. Oh, these people at that time used to live like this. Now nobody lives like that. So we'll just become like a fossil or a museum exhibit. Because what is happening? We are connected with the past, but we are no longer connected with the present. Isn't it? So, on the other hand, if we are only resourceful, oh, I want to be creative, let me try this, let me try that. Then, what may happen very much is that if we are not faithful to the past, we will just become a fashion fad. Okay, now people are studying mindfulness. Let's talk about mindfulness. We'll start teaching mindfulness. Now we have come to third wave psychology. Let's do that. Now we have come to this. There's so many trends in society. Now let's do yoga. Now let's do this. Let's do that. Now it's good to learn those things. But through yoga, we should be giving people bhakti. Through mindfulness, we should be giving some spiritual Gita wisdom. If we're not doing that, so if we are only resourceful, but not faithful. So only faithful means, again, it is niyamagraha, we are insisting on the letter of the law, on the rituals. Only resourceful means we are rejecting. So these two extremes of niyamagraha, we need to avoid. So we need a balance between conservative and liberal. So for example, now here in New Zealand, you have the temple and you have the lounge. You have the loft, lounge, what you call it. Now, this is serving different demographics and there are certain adaptations that need to be done. So Indians may need a more ethnically, culturally Indian presentation. For non-Indians, some of the cultural aspects may be downplayed. They need to be downplayed. So we need to be resourceful. So in Indians, so that resourcefulness is the prerogative of the leaders who are guiding that particular community. And as devotees, we may also learn how to be resourceful while remaining faithful. So we need to have both. So we are faithful to the principles. Prabhupada said we can never change the principles. And we are resourceful about the details. So details are some specifics, they can be adjusted. So suppose somebody is going for work. And now, can we wear tilak and go to work? We can, but if there's creating some opposition, we may decide I'll just wear a water tilak and I'll go, that's okay. This is say, now normally we wear dhoti kurta and that's what we normally will wear. But if we go to the Middle Eastern countries, now there they don't want any religious people from other religions apart from Islam to come and preach at this publicly. So we have to wear civil clothes and go there. Now when we are in the devotees, we may again wear the spiritual, whatever is our dhoti kurta kind of dress. That's okay. So is it a detail, is it a principle? It's an important detail, but it's a detail. So like that, there is an understanding of how details we can be resourceful in adjusting the details. So how we are giving the class, is it physically or is it digitally? That is a detail. But the principle is, what is the class talking about? Is it talking about Bhagavad Gita or is it talking about some concept contemporary self-help? That is the principle. That cannot be changed. Does that address your question? Thank you. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. My question is about different individuals approaching Krishna from different directions.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult for us to appreciate different approaches in ISKCON, but also appreciating different religions. For example, yesterday I was in book distribution, I met some Christians, we might call them religious nuts. They were very intense in their approach, but at the same time we appreciate that they are trying to connect to God, but I don't really know how I should view them. What is the healthy way of viewing them?
Okay. Good question. Very practical, important question. We could say that spiritual growth is like mountain climbing. The peak of the mountain is spiritual consciousness. It is where we have developed love for Krishna. The bottom of the mountain is material consciousness, where we have love for material things. So now the point is to get to the peak of the mountain. Now there can be different paths up the mountain. So among the various religious or spiritual paths, whatever word you want to use, there are broadly three categories. There are people who are exclusivists. Exclusivists means they say that my way is the only way. This, it's like they're saying I want to go up the mountain, but this is the only way to go up the mountain. And there is no other way. So exclusivists often become narrow-minded. They are fanatical. Now, in mainstream Christianity, there is a certain level of exclusivism is there. Not all Christians are exclusivist in practice, but they have the idea that there is only one way, only my way. That is exclusivism. Now there are others, there's other extremes, pluralist. Pluralist is any way. That is, whatever path you follow, that is your path to God. Whatever you believe, whatever mantra you chant, whatever you do, you are an individual, you have your free will, and you can do whatever you want. Now, politically, this is true. Politically, the state should not be imposing any particular religion on people. So this is, politically, it is okay. But this is not philosophically true. Philosophically, this is wrong. This is false. What do I mean by that? Philosophically, if say all paths are right, then somebody says my path is atheism. Now, if atheism is right, then what will happen? All paths to God will become wrong, because there is no God at all. So, in that sense, saying all ways are right, sentimentally it may sound very good, but it lacks substance. So, philosophically it is not true. It's like saying all paths will take you up the mountain. No, not necessarily. Some paths may just keep you taking round and round the mountain only. Some paths may take you down into a valley away from the mountain. Isn't it? If somebody says that, okay, taking drugs is my way to spirituality. Well, you may think you are getting some spiritual visions, but you're just getting hallucinations. And you go into a drug trip and you end up addicted, you go deeper into tamoguna. So we can't say all paths are right. Yes? So both extremes. So Christianity, for example, is a bit exclusivist. Mainstream Hinduism, some extent, is pluralist. That there are thousands and thousands of devatas. There are demigods and then there are semi-gods. You know what is a semi-god? Semi-god is semi-god. That means some guru pops up and says, I am God. And people start worshipping that person. So, this is sentimentalism. A devotee showed me a cartoon. In India, now, a lot of young people are becoming Hindu conscious. It's not a bad thing. Some of them also becoming spiritual. But they don't have philosophical substance. So there's this cartoon, an American kid is asking his Indian friend, why do you people worship so many gods? And this Hindu boy thinks and he says, we like to keep backups. So, it's not that all the gods are simply interchangeable, whomever you worship. So that is, now in between is what we can call as inclusivism. Now the word inclusivism has a particular political connotation today. It's been utilized by the left wing. But when I'm using inclusivism, what do I mean? That there is one purpose which includes many paths. Many but not all paths. So for example, if we have to go up the mountain, if we have to go up the mountain, then there can be different paths to go up the mountain. Now, different does not mean all. So how do we define? It is defined based on, but is the purpose being served? Is the purpose being served? Now, how do I know whether a path is taking me up the mountain? Two things should be happening. The peak of the mountain should be coming closer, and the bottom of the mountain should be going further. So similarly, if somebody is following an authentic spiritual path, their love for God should be increasing, and that love for God increase should be seen in their detachment, or at least non-infatuation with worldly things. So if that is happening, somebody is following Christianity and they are actually becoming less materialistic, they are developing a more ethos of service and kindness, and then that is a good thing. Now the other devotees also, if they are becoming more detached from worldly things, they may be emphasizing some other things in bhakti. So Prabhupada would emphasize, when Prabhupada was asked about Jesus, he said, "What do you think about Jesus?" He said, "He's our guru." He said he had so much love for Krishna, love for God, not Krishna necessarily, love for God, that he was ready to sacrifice his life for the sake of God. Somebody who has so much love for God is a guru for us. So that is the idea, that we can have this broad understanding. Rather than focusing on the particular path, it's more about improving. Are you improving? Is your going closer to the peak means, is your love for God increasing? Going further from the bottom means, that is your attachment to worldly things decreasing? Does that answer your question? Thank you. Okay. Yes, maybe one or two last questions. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, tell me.
So, on this topic that you used in this verse from your book, with rituals, I tried to explain that same concept to my father not too long ago. And I could only tap into a little bit of what you spoke about on the concept, like I touched on a little bit. So my question is, how does writing and the use of these drawings help you access ways to convey concepts, insights, takeaways to people effectively? Or are there any other ways how you access that? Because you're very good at that.
Actually, writing is, I have been writing books for a long time. So one thing that happens by writing is that you develop linear and logical thinking. See, if I am speaking and I just speak of something tangential, something which the audience cannot relate with, then I can see the facial expressions of the audience and I can understand that. But in writing, there is no live interaction with the audience. So after write, I have to evaluate. Is this point connected to the next point? Sometimes you write and then you reread after some time with a more of an editorial eye. And then we learn. So the idea is that writing does help us to develop linear logical thinking. And the structure and flow for our talks comes through writing. Now, drawing is something which I started about 3-4 years ago. Writing and drawing for the classes. That is primarily because I was finding that my classes were difficult for people to understand. There are too many concepts. In fact, I had come to this part of the world. I just started my Western outreach. So I asked Devamrut Maharaj about some guidance and blessings. So Maharaj told me it was quite encouraging, but he was quite cutting also. He said, you speak too fast. Your words are unusual. Your thoughts are deep, and your accent is thick. He said, with these 4 things, you should be grateful that anyone even understands you. So he told me that you have to learn to speak very slowly. See, Indian languages, whether it's Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Hindi to some extent, but people speak very fast. The language moves very fast. So we tend to speak very fast. So I was trying for many years to try to slow down my speech. But it was very difficult for me. I used to get excited and start speaking more. Speaking faster. But then when I started writing, that helped me to at least at one level slow down. Because I had to write things. But along with that, it also, that visual complements the verbal. I was using PowerPoints before. But then you have to prepare the PowerPoints in advance and then you have to stick to the PowerPoints. So I don't, while I have a structure for my class, I don't like to have scripted classes. Like, it's not that every single point I'm going to speak, I have prepared that. I have a broad structure in mind, and then the examples and the specifics, they come spontaneously as they're trying to communicate and connect with the audience based on their interest and their level. So that's why I found this gives me a good amount of flexibility. And yes, I think the visual aids the verbal in communicating effectively. Now I'm trying to, in all the books that I'm going to write in the future, I'm trying to have also more and more of these visual aids. Okay. Thank you for the question. Yes, Prabhu? You had a question? Yeah. Thank you.
So you were talking about how we perform rituals to get an experience. But naturally, at some points in our practice, we need to persist when we're getting less taste or less experience. I was thinking also seventh verse, mixture of instruction. It's like the tongue covered by Bible, taste for the holy name.
Correct, yeah.
Taste for chanting. So there will naturally be times when we have more or less taste for to reach the stage of Nishta. So how can we persist in a way that's based on building a relationship with Krishna, and we don't end up just taking shelter of our false ego and just using those rituals as a way to show our own confidence to ourselves or to others?
See, you're saying that sometimes rituals, we may do them, but we may not have taste. And then the part about the false ego, I didn't understand. Are you saying that because of ego, we may just continue doing that forcibly, just to show others?
Yeah, how can we persist in a mood of service to Krishna rather than...
Okay, in a mood of service to Krishna. That's a good point. See, even among rituals, there will be a range of rituals for us. So there are rituals which will give strength to us. So we look forward to doing them. But there may be rituals which require strength to do. So now based on our particular nature, say for example, Kirtan may give us strength. Japa may require strength to do. Now both are purifying, but they are different kinds of purification. So yes, we are a part of a tradition. We want to be faithful to the tradition. So what all rituals are specified by the tradition, we need to do them. But we cannot run on an empty tank for a long time. So we need to be able to balance that. If we have to do some rituals which require strength from us, like such as chanting, like our tongue still it is having jaundice, it will not feel the taste. That is true. So it may be that it requires us time and effort to get purified. So then we should also be doing other activities which give us strength. So if our mind is wandering too much during chanting, then maybe pause for a few minutes, take a few deep breaths. If you like Kirtan, just maybe not for an hour, but maybe 1 or 2 times just sing a Hare Krishna mantra in a particular dhun. And that will calm the mind. You can connect with Krishna. If we are more philosophical, analytical, maybe have some verses about the glory of the holy name, have some quotes about the importance of focusing the mind, about the importance of meditating, whatever, and keep them in a pocket notebook or something like that, and read that if the mind is wandering. So that will give us an intellectual anchor. It can help us come back. So each of us need to manage, we need to have our energy balance. That means we do this and then we are able to do this. We do the things which give strength and then we will be able to do the activities which require strength. Now as we become purified, even the activities that require strength will also start giving us more and more strength. But that may take time. So that's how if we don't have this inventory done beforehand, that what are the things that give me strength and what are the things that require strength, then we will just feel depleted and burdened. So it's not very difficult, just be observant. Like some people may like philosophy more. I like to hear classes. I like to hear this particular speaker. Some people, I like to go out and meet people and talk with them. And when I see people are appreciating Krishna consciousness, I become enlivened by that. And so I want to do that more. So make a list of activities that require strength and make sure that when we need to do them, before or after that, we are doing the activities that give us strength. Okay? Thank you. Yes, Mandaji.
Prabhu, I'm trying to get into the habit of journaling, and I've noticed that I journal when there's something not quite right or I'm upset.
Not quite?
When I'm upset or something's bothering me, I have a tendency to journal.
Yeah.
But when everything's okay, I don't. So I'm wondering, how do I make it more of a habit that I journal every day? Because I've been hearing in classes that it's journaling.
Okay. So there are two ways of looking at it. That it can be a resource, it does not have to be a regular habit. That is also good. So I find that journaling is a very, very powerful resource for some major things in life. I would say, I hope to write a book on journaling. I already have a title for the book. I have many dreams of books. I don't know how many I'll complete this lifetime. But my theme I use is, write it to write it. So write it to write it. So the idea is, I find journaling very valuable for three main things. One is like making big decisions. If we are going to decide, maybe if we are doing one particular service and we want to shift completely to different service, if somebody is going to enter into a relationship formally, somebody is going to do some big decisions in life, maybe move from one place to another place, our mind can keep us indecisive, second guessing ourselves. So what happens is that if we write our thoughts down, okay, this is all that I'm thinking about, and then we write it down, get it out, and then analyze it. Okay, these are pros, these are cons, these are undecided. And then we get more information, we revisit and gradually refine it over a period of days or weeks. And then we get a product of our intelligence ready for us. And then afterwards, we take a decision. It's not guaranteed that decision will be right, but at least we will have our thinking right. And then we can be firm if we start becoming discouraged and mind starts second guessing ourselves. These are the reasons why I did this. These reasons still hold true, so I'll stay committed to it. But sometimes life is unpredictably changeable, and then we may decide also, all these factors have changed. I took the decision because of those factors. I will change the decision. We'll be flexible. So it's a very big resource for decision making. So the second thing it helps is in dealing with strong anarthas. So we all have some weaknesses, but some of us may have some conditions which are very strong. So then maybe keeping a track of our battles and what worked and what didn't work. That helps. So for example, if say I tend to get angry, then I can note down if in certain classes I hear some points about the dangers of anger, or I have myself had some experiences of how anger got me into a lot of trouble, or how not getting angry saved me from a lot of trouble. So basically, when that urge, when that emotion becomes very strong, at that time, it's very difficult for our intelligence to become active at that particular time. So if we have already activated the intelligence and kept the product of that intelligence ready with us in an accessible way, then what happens? We can refer to that. So we journal and we come up with strategies, tips, insights, quotes, whatever that work for us. So for dealing with strong anarthas, it is very helpful. And third thing is, it's like important relationships. The relations that are important but are also difficult for us. Maybe with some person we have to have a relationship and it's important, but we are different and sometimes they hurt us, sometimes we hurt them. So keeping a track. So because sometimes we learn, okay, this thing is important for this person, but we forget it. That this is how I should be dealing, this is how I should not be dealing. So especially for important relationships, it's quite helpful. keep us on track. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would write a letter to Prabhupada every day. That was his way of connecting with Prabhupada. What I did for you, what is. So now, some devotees write prayers to Krishna every day, or it's like a daily report to Krishna. That it's like for important relationships. So these three things, it's very helpful to have journaling as a resource available for us. Now, having said this, our lives are busy, and if we already have so many things to do and journaling becomes one more thing to do, it can become a burden. See, we may not always feel the need for journaling. So when we feel the need, it's like in this way. This way you can say it's a tool that use when needed. It's like somebody may learn self-defense. They may learn some karate or whatever, jiu-jitsu or whatever. Then it's not that every day they're going to practice it. But they know, okay, this is what I can do for self-defense. Now somebody else may start learning it and they may decide they practice it daily because it keeps me fit. So if we want to do a daily journal, so this is, now for daily, there are again 3 structures which I find very helpful. So one of the simplest structures is, I call it the best worst structure. Best worst means what? What was the best thing that happened to me, and what is the best thing that I did? And what are the worst thing that happened to me, and what is the worst thing that I did? And don't just write that down, write also the why. Why was this the best thing? And why was this the worst thing? So that way, not everything in our day is necessarily important. But what is important and why we consider it important, that will help us to develop greater. So this best worst is helpful for greater self-understanding. Now the other is that we could, if you want to do it daily, sometimes it's like a gratitude journal. This can overall create positivity. Even people who are not necessarily spiritual also keep a gratitude journal. It's known to, okay, during the day, what did I feel grateful for today? Or what was something that happened at that time, but I didn't feel grateful. But now I look back at, I should have, it was something really good, but I didn't notice it. So it's both 2-3 things over here. When did I feel the emotion was present and the emotion was not present, when it should have been present? So that way we will become more conscious and we will become more grateful. And gratitude is there are many things in our life to be grateful for, but we live in a culture where we are constantly compared with others. We are already shown so many things in the world that we don't have. So it's difficult to be grateful. So I think gratitude is a very helpful thing to do. And then the same thing you could say in some other areas also. You could say self-improvement. If you want to, here it's more like a tracker, a self-improvement tracker, but more than just the statistics or numbers. We may decide if we want to develop a particular virtue. Maybe we want to develop a habit of reading every day. Then we may read, and after reading, we may spend about 5 to 10 minutes writing about what we read, what struck us in the writing, what was our experience while reading. So it could be with respect to if we want to become gentler in our behavior with others. So what were the times when I felt a little triggered? Did I become gentle at that time? So self-improvement tracker, if you want to do that, that is also helpful. So journal daily. Okay, what do I journal about? Quite often we may not get the ideas and then it becomes a ritual. So some people are of course more spontaneous and creative and they don't need a structure. They'll be able to journal. But some of these structures can be helpful, and if we find it helpful, again I think it's a tool. If you find it helpful, continue it. If you don't, then no need to. We can have it as a resource to use when needed. Okay? Thank you. Yes, okay, last question. Yeah.
Thank you. We have this prayer on page 17, and it talks about the devotee praying to the Lord about an interim period.
Sorry, which is the page number?
Page number 71, actually.
71, okay. Okay, in the book 71, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's Bhagavad Gita 255.
Okay, go ahead, tell me. So what is your question, yeah?
So it's explaining how the devotee may feel that they're in an interim period, or like the austerity of being in a no man's land, so that we're not advanced enough to experience deep spiritual pleasure.
Okay,
We're trying to let go of material pleasure.
yeah.
So I just found it quite fascinating the way that you wrote about this stage, and I wondered if you could elaborate on how we can
Okay,
take advantage of this opportunity.
yeah, okay, sure. So you're talking about this paragraph. Sustain me, O Lord, during this interim period when I must let go of the promise of outer pleasure and hold on to your promise of inner pleasure. Even when I may not yet be experiencing any pleasure, but only the austerity of being in no man's land. Yes. I think it's a very relatable experience for all of us, isn't it? So it's like, say, we consider there is a lower taste of sensual pleasures that we want to give up, and there is the higher taste of bhakti we want to develop. So say we are here, and in one sense we have to take a leap all the way here. But sometimes what happens, we go here and we come back. Or sometimes we go here and then we go further down. So it feels too high a leap for us. So in those cases, I think some things help. One of them is, I'll talk about two things. One of them is that we can talk about something like a higher, so generally we talk about a lower material taste and a higher spiritual taste. But we can have a higher material taste that is used spiritually. What do I mean by this? That, say, maybe before we came to bhakti, we liked music. Now, music can be for sense gratificatory purposes, but there can also be music which is soothing and calming and uplifting, even if it is not devotional. So now, if we like music, then naturally we feel peaceful, we feel absorbed when we hear music. So that is a relatively higher material taste. Instead of somebody just binging on Netflix or eating food or getting into sense gratification or drink alcoholism, if they are hearing music and feeling peaceful, relatively speaking, it's sattvic. Of course, it depends on what you are hearing, what they are hearing. But you could say it's a material taste. But it is relatively higher. Somebody likes drawing. Somebody likes art. They can spend hours on art. Now, they may not be it may not be anything about Krishna, but that's okay. At least they are not getting into gross sense gratification. So we all have our particular material nature. And based on those material nature, we have certain natural tastes and interests. So if those could be connected with Krishna, then that is not necessarily spiritual immediately, but it is spiritualizable, or it gives us stability till we get to the spiritual. So like I was saying that in many ways, Kirtan is easier to absorb ourselves than Japa. One reason is that in Japa there is nothing except me and Krishna. In Kirtan there is music, there are instruments. So how much is the absorption I am getting, the joy I am getting, how much is it devotional joy and how much is it musical joy? Now, does it matter? Well, as long as it is in the ambit of Krishna consciousness, it doesn't matter so much. If for the sake of musical joy, I give up hearing spiritual music and start hearing mundane music, that's a different thing. So, if it's in the ambit of Krishna consciousness, it's good. Gradually, the spiritual will become more and more. Initially, we just like the music more and more. So, when I say higher material spiritual taste, it could be that. So, I may have material taste for many things. And then there are Krishna conscious activities. Now, Krishna conscious activities. Now, there are many Krishna conscious activities for which I do not have taste. And there are many material activities, which are giving me material taste that are outside of Krishna consciousness. So we could call it, this is as the lower taste. And this is the circle of Krishna consciousness which does not interface with our taste, that is the material taste. But I am talking about the intermediate between the two, lower, the higher material taste. So we could say this may be sattvic, relatively speaking, in mode of goodness. So each one of us needs to find that. When we talk about varnashram, it was not just about dividing people into 4 groups. It was basically engaging people according to their nature. So that means the natural interests are there, we will become absorbed. I was staying at one devotee's home and I came back, and the hostess, the Mataji, she had cooked like 500 cookies. And I said, is there some festival? He says, her husband had driven me to the program. He says, no, cooking is her stress relief. I said, it's a wonderful stress relief, You're cooking and you're actually doing some service. Now, for some other people, cooking may not be stress relief, cooking may just be stress. He said, okay, I have to cook so many things. So we all have certain interests, we have certain abilities. So we need to find out which of those can be linked with Krishna, which can be connected with Krishna. So for me, for example, as an author, for me, I love words. I can spend hours playing with words. When I'm driving for a program, my eyes always wander to the billboards. And sometimes there's a giant billboard, and my eyes will first go to the words, and if I find the words interesting, then I'll look at the image. So, sometimes the image doesn't interest me at all. I have read entire books without even noticing the cover page of the book. Or the cover image in the book, actually. So, for me, words are very naturally interesting for me. And then, so the more I remember words, I think, how can I use this word in Krishna service? How do I use that word in Krishna service? So sometimes I feel I am more word conscious than Krishna conscious. But I think it's okay, because now it's not that for finding good words, I am going to read books which are filled with sensuality. Or I am going to read completely anti-devotional matter. So if I do that, then I am going off track. But so it's important for us to find this level. A higher material taste which is spiritual, which is usable spiritually. And sometimes it may not be usable spiritually, that's also okay. One devotee told me that he was from a yoga background, and he had gone to the Himalayas, and he spent a lot of time. He loved nature, and then Himalayas were like a spiritual place for him also. That's where he discovered his spirituality. And first he discovered impersonal spirituality. And then he was introduced to devotees. He came to a temple, he stayed in the temple, and there was some severe conflict with some devotees he had. And then he left. And I was in touch with him. So he said that I'm again in the Himalayas. I think the Mayavadi inside me has come back now. Mayavadi is the impersonalist. He said that actually I am feeling more peaceful here in the Himalayas than I was feeling in the association of devotees. So I told him, that's not necessarily the peace of nature, that is not the monopoly of impersonalists. Isn't it? That we have in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the Brahmana who learns from nature. There's a book called Enlightenment by the Natural Path written over there. It's observing nature and learning from it. In the 10th canto also, Shukdev Goswami observes the forests of Vrindavan and draws wisdom insights from there. So the idea is that it may not be going close to nature, might not be completely spiritual. But if it brings us to Sattva Guna, we don't want to stay over there forever and give up the association of devotees. But sometimes for us, if we require some things to get strength, then that's okay. We do those things. So they can be spiritualizable in the sense that we can directly spiritualize them, or they can give us a certain level of peace of mind by which we can become spiritual afterwards. So going back to this point of the activities that give strength and they require strength. So sometimes some of the activities that give strength may not necessarily be directly devotional, but they may be sattvic. You go for a walk. Is that spiritual? Somebody will say, if you go for a walk and you're not chanting, you're wasting time. Well, maybe. That's one way of looking at it. I say, okay, I go for a walk, I look at nature. If I'm looking for sense gratification everywhere, that's not a good thing. But we calm ourselves down, we come to Sattva Guna, we come back, and then we come to mode of goodness, we are able to practice bhakti better. So that's also good. Okay? Each one of us has to find how we can best work with the mind-body machine that we have. And when we learn that, then we will be able to move forward in a sustainable way. So I'll just add one more point over here. There's one devotee friend of mine. He was a big chess player before he came to bhakti. And then he was thinking of going professional also in chess. Then he gave it up, he started practicing bhakti. Then he said, when I came to 40, 45, I started feeling a great urge to play chess. And I thought, this is my eye, I'm not going to do this. But then one day, he said, I try to read Bhagavatam about 1 hour on a daily basis, or at least weekly. So I had 1 hour for reading Bhagavatam. I was feeling so sleepy. I was feeling bored, and on the other side, I also got an urge to play chess. So then he said, I just turned on my computer, downloaded an app, and played for 10 minutes, like a timed chess match. And he said, after playing for 10 minutes, I just felt so refreshed, so enlivened, that then I read Bhagavatam, and my Bhagavatam reading for 50 minutes was better than what it had been for many days before, when I would read but I was getting spaced out. So now, I'm not recommending that we all start playing chess to sharpen our mind. But my point is that he is a devotee who's been practicing bhakti for 20 years. It is not that he wants excuses for not practicing bhakti. But everybody has to understand. So 1 hour of being sleepy or 50 minutes of being sharp, what is better? 50 minutes of being sharp is better. So somebody may decide that, okay, I used to like to do physical activity. I like to go for running. So you go for a run for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and come back and do bhakti activities. You may be able to do it better. So we may call that a sense gratification. And okay, that's one way of looking at it. But Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that we all need recreation. But the recreation should be regulated. Yuktahara viharasya. So just as the body needs rest, the mind also needs rest. Now some people may be able to give rest for their mind in devotional activities only. For some people, just reading Bhagavatam is resting their mind. Or for some people, Kirtans is resting their mind and relaxing their mind. But for some people, they may not find their recreation in devotional activities. Now we don't want to go into sensual activities for recreation. But relatively speaking, doing some exercise or playing some creative game. I'm not saying that we have to do it, but each person needs to find out how best they can work with their mind. So that way, we take responsibility for keeping ourselves strong. See, there are activities which give us strength eventually because they purify us. And we need to do those activities. But there are activities which also help us feel better and stronger right now. And we may also need to do those activities, and we need to be aware of which those activities are. Okay? Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.